Tim, you have shared why you think a youth ministry, a relational youth group, brings with it the elements of a holding space, a healing space, a space in which young people can grow into the kind of people they want to be, and where that void is filled healthily instead of filled with substances. And when you listed the elements that you think were important, one of the things you really wanted to stress, both in your lecture today at Yale Divinity School, but in your conversations with me, was direct mentorship. What do you mean by mentorship? Tell us your understanding of it and why it's important in the field of substance abuse.
Well, in the field of youth development, of which substance abuse unfortunately is a huge problem right now, I think we have so many adults in our lives as youth today who have so much to offer. And that's not to negate anyone's individual role or responsibility. But because we are created such opportunity for our young people to have access to all these clubs and organizations and sports and these adults, very few kids actually have a specific mentor in their life who is kind of the, not so much a catch-all, that's a hard one to be, but maybe a little bit more diverse. And also because of lots of boundaries that we have to place between us and children to be safe and to be respectful. A lot of adults don't have the capacity to, nor should they, cross some of those boundaries effectively to really minister to children at the heart. And I think youth ministry, again, is one of these wonderful places where, because a youth minister can show up at school unannounced. Most schools I know would love to have youth ministers show up. They can show up at the family dinner table. They can show up at the sporting event. They can show up at a recital. They are an integral part of this young person's life on so many levels, or at least can be. That direct mentorship is this capacity to be present at the most important moments that we can't script. And when a young person sees you there, when a young person witnesses you listening to not just themselves, but to someone else maybe, they begin to trust more, and they begin to engage more in what it is that you truly have to offer them on a bigger scale in their life. And what happens naturally, because this is something, again, I believe we crave, is they will come directly when they have those bigger existential issues to come into some type of relationship with and understanding. They have someone they know they can go to who has unconditional love and compassion for them, who shows up even when they're not expected, and has a skill set to offer. And I go back again to my thing about indigenous, as you know, my whole thing about outdoor education and wilderness leadership is we tap so much into our connection to just being part of nature, not separate from. Indigenous, and by the way, this is all the way up into even maybe 50 years ago, I'd say. As cultures, we had people in our lives other than our parents, adults, who were with us for an extended period of time, who had skill sets to teach us. Industrialization has taken away maybe a lot of the trade work that was done that we used to learn from our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles. We need some of that back, for sure. And a great way to get it is to have one person in your life as a young person who can show up on multiple levels. And if we can recreate that intentionally, and I do believe, again, effective ministry does do that exactly, but there's other opportunities, there's other avenues. The more we can do that, the more the young people are going to step up to the opportunity. And guess what? Now they have a guide. Now they have a personal guide to them. And in my current career path, what I've been doing is a lot of work in the coaching realm. And I keep going back to the term mentorship. People crave these truly individualized relationships that they know are going to be lasting. And a lot of relationships are set up to have a beginning and an end in our adult culture, especially with young people. So wouldn't it be great if we had these long-term, lifelong even, connections that we can keep going back to? I think very fondly about our relationship. Two guys who probably never would have connected if it weren't for the grace of God bringing us together on that one mission trip. And in many ways, what I also love about direct mentorship is the roles can easily flip. That's the cool part. That's the real magic, is when the mentor becomes the mentee.